cloth on the board helps to grip the coat. So I'm going to use it, apply the chalk, it stops it from slipping. It makes it much easier to mark a run. I kind of mark the inside as well. Start with the right forepart. Match the neck point in the back to the neck point in the front, allowing for the seam. As we baste it in here, we're going to baste in some fullness. It's a little tricky to keep this straight because we've got inlay on both sides. You have to assess how much you think you can get in without putting in too much or too little. So the first baste is a longer baste, just to distribute the fullness where I think I'm going to need it. So after I've joined my shoulder and distributed my fullness, before I press anything, I put my hand into it here and keep it short, so where it would be for on the shoulder, and drop my hand in, and I see how the seam comes around. I'm looking to see if there's any puckering in here. It's nice and flat, and it looks like a lot of fullness in there, but that will all shrink away, be very easily distributed. So now I just want to come and put another baste between those stitches to distribute that fullness again and lock it into the positions I will require it.
Now is all this basting definitely going to be ripped and smoothed out? I mean, or what if you get it right? Like,
no, it'll definitely be ripped and smoothed out. So it has to be the forepart. There's so many more steps to be taken. You know, it has to be, the pedals have to be padded, the facing has to be done, the in-breast pockets must go in, they need to be fastened down. You can't do all that work with the shoulders joined. You want to work on these pieces independently of each other, so you're not constantly throwing the coat around, or it would just make it more difficult to work with.
So all the precision you're putting into putting in this fullness right now is just for reference.
Well, it's for the fitting. It needs to be the right.
Just for reference.
Well, it's to make sure that the fit is correct. So I fit it on. I make the fitting now with my first draft, and we'll slip it on, and we'll see how it fits. And we can make any number of alterations from there. But my shoulder, if it's not made to my pattern, I'll never truly know what the alterations are if it's not accurate. And once I rip it apart, the alterations I want to have made, thinking it was one thing and it could have been something else. The neck point may not have been in the position that I thought it was in because it wasn't put together accurately. Things like that really make the difference in a fitting, an accurate fitting. So an inaccurate fitting you will have an inaccurate coat. It's very hard to predict how the fitting was put together when it's been ripped apart. You have to go by the points and the patterns, make sure those points are matching. Now I want to be sure not to stretch this seam. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink away all that fullness. So I'm putting on my board and carefully laying it out. I also don't want to press any plates into it. You watch all this fullness disappear into the cloth. It's not gone completely, it's still in there. It's just where we want it. Trap between the stitches, pushing its length out into the blade region. This, coupled with the stretching of the blades earlier, will allow nicely for the shape of the back. You notice that most of the fullness is right up here, the top 2/3 of the shoulder. The last third of the shoulder only has a little bit of ease in it. I don't put any fullness there because it doesn't require it at the end of the shoulder, and the shoulder is quite bony, so if the fullness was left there, you would see it develop a bubble at the end of your seam. little length of cloth that isn't required. Now that we've shrunk out our fullness, we now open the seam up. Again, we want to be careful how we do this. We have to imagine how we want our shoulder seam to sit. We want it to curve around, so we press it the way we want it to lay on the wearer. Now that the shoulders are joined, we have to attach the four-part through the shoulder to the canvas. Make sure it doesn't slip. And we're butting the shoulder pads and joining this even. And you can see this the way the seam's coming around here. That's what we want. And make sure this cloth doesn't move away from the canvas. Going down here like that to allow ourselves to get in here to put in the sleeve. This is just the armhole around here. I'm just putting a long base into it through my chalk. A cloth like this, the chalk will fall out of it, so I want to be sure to have this running baste in here, so when I rub the coat later I know exactly where my sleeve went. Details like this are important to maintain consistency in the garment to be sure of a successful fitting.